Good evening and welcome to the Franchise Tag podcast. We are in week 8. It's nearly halfway into the season. It's been a very exciting weekend of NFL football. It has been a terrible weekend for fantasy football with, 6 teams on a bye this weekend? Just gone? Oh, painful.
Well, that depends though, because if you can pick up Xavier Hutchinson and still beat the defending champion in the Franchise Tag Dynasty League, you've got to be doing something right.
And then immediately try and trade bait everyone to trade for him.
I put him on the trade block. What's the problem with that?
If anything can be said about you, Adam Martin, is that you are a businessman. You're a wheeler dealer.
Thank you very much.
You're like the Del Boy of Crawley. You are.
Well, I haven't got the coat, but aside from that, you're probably pretty close.
Hasn't got the coat, but has got the car. I've seen it. Andrew, welcome back as well to the talk show. We've got 3 lovely topics that we're going to be talking about. I actually realized while I was doing my notes, this is an incredibly negative podcast about coming your way. We are not going to be
I don't think it's that. If you think about the other 2 teams we're talking about, it's not negative because we'd be talking about what they can do to move forward in the future. So
okay. So it's more looking at a brighter future rather than a bleak, dark present like we have outside our window at the minute with the clocks going back and it getting dark earlier. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to this podcast wherever you are. Make sure you catch us all on social media as well and on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll kick things off, though, with the Washington Commanders, who played in Monday Night Football. It's not often that we do Monday Night Football sort of topic because we usually do the show on the Monday night, but obviously today is Tuesday. Not that it will affect you listening to this in any which way whatsoever. But the Commanders lost last night 28-7 to the Kansas City Chiefs. A game that I felt, Andrew, that they... first half they really stuck in it, and it felt like the second half sort of folded away from them a little bit, and but the Chiefs really poured it on. But me and Andrew were sort of saying beforehand, Adam were talking about the Packers Steelers game, and I was saying the best teams, they adjust and they figure a way how to change their game plan. The Steelers infamously don't do that, which they didn't do against the Packers in the fourth quarter. The Packers ran all over them. The Commanders are a little bit handcuffed, aren't they, at the minute with what they can do in terms of changing up the aspect of their game. Jaden Daniels with his injuries, they had to start Marcus Mariota again last night, who, maybe in a year's time we talk about him like he's Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. You never know in this game, but it certainly hinders them, doesn't it?
The thing coming into the season and the league was how slender Jaden Daniels was, wasn't it? That whether he'd be able to take the big hits. I know Adam was very much on the side of he's done it in college and, he's got hit in college, but these guys are a lot bigger in the NFL, aren't they? And they know how to sort of tackle properly. And there's loads of them on your team rather than just one superstar. So there's always going to be a slight on him. And it's now becoming present because he's becoming injured a lot. No major injuries that are sort of putting him out for the whole season. Just a lot of little injuries. It's his chest, it's his shoulder, it's his arm, it's his ankle, and that's all from the hits he's taken. So that's a concern for me for them going forward. That your franchise quarterback looks like he's going to miss games through the season, whether it be 2 or 3 weeks. So that's a big concern.
Yeah, he's missed 3 games this season, had a hamstring injury, the Cowboys, which he came, I believe he came out of the game for, which ruled him out against the Chiefs, Adam. Now you've got You've got Seattle next weekend. The rumor is he's not going to be good to go against Seattle. You then play Detroit again at Miami. Again, Mariota didn't play bad at all. You've got the bye week in 12. Do you at this point sort of think about maybe resting him until the bye week just to make sure he's absolutely at his peak level before they kick on to the tail end of the season where they've got the Broncos, they're at the Vikings, they've got all their division games in the massive huddle at the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and at the Eagles. That's a big slate of games and some big defenses you're coming up against in your second half there. He's going to get hit a bit.
Yeah, the problem is they're 3-5, aren't they? So they're gonna, if you go down that route where you rest him for the next 3 weeks, you're probably going to be what 3 and 5, 4 and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not beating Seattle and they're not beating Detroit, are they?
Not without him, no. So you're going to be looking at 4 and 7.
Do you even think with him though at this point? If
Yeah.
we look at how they're playing,
I don't
we look at how
think
Seattle and Detroit are playing. At the minute,
Yeah.
they're primed for an NFC Championship spot, both of them.
I think if he's playing, then the Seahawks game, it's in Washington, becomes a bit more of a 50-50, I think. And I think that he's got a chance of creating some magic that will make a difference. The fact that they've missed McLaurin for as long as they have, and he came back against the Chiefs and looked okay. I think that's another one where I feel like there's a good chance that would improve them dramatically on the offense if they were both playing. So yeah, I think that against the Seahawks they would have a chance. I think against the Lions it would probably be difficult, but at least you're going like 1-1 over them 2 games. It keeps you in it, and then you've got arguably a much easier game against the Dolphins. So, but I mean, just in general, it's tough. They've got a tough schedule here, and it's not going to be easy for them to be able to do anything. But yeah, I think having him in the team, you're going to be better than not having him in the team.
4 wins was what you said there, right? And I know we said you said
3 and 5.
3 and 5, but you said about them losses keep stacking up, Andrew. I know we said for Washington this year. We said before the season even started on this podcast, we said Washington are going to take a step back. We believe that it's been completely evident. If they lose another 2, 3, 4, 5, let's call it 6 games they lose now. That's not close to being near 500. I know you can't technically go 500 anymore, but that's a dramatic step back considering the plaudits we gave Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury the whole of last season. Like that's there's a step back, and then there's being bad.
Well, I think when we looked at it and when we talked about this division and we went over the Commanders, we all said, yes, there's going to be a bit of regression because there's more tape on Daniels. They won a lot of games by 4th down conversions in the 4th quarter to win games. And we said that's not going to happen. So there's going to be a regression. But I remember I spoke about this to you guys when we did talk about the Commanders. The age of this team, especially on offense, is just littered with really, really old people. And then when you look at the young people they've drafted in, they're not of a high caliber sort of player that can sort of take the position and run with it. So I did say if there's injuries on this team, it's going to collapse and it is going to go bad. But yeah, from the amount of people hyped them up last year and the hype that they got this year and the hype that they're getting for the future, because I think even you guys said their roster's still good. It'll only be a small regression. I think there's a bigger picture to this. And I think moving forward, they might slip behind the Giants and the Cowboys if they don't address something soon, because it's an old offense. The defense is decent and your quarterback keeps getting injured. So I think there's a big picture here.
Would you concur, Adam? Because he is right. I mean, we said Deebo Samuel, we were very pleased for Washington with that trade in the offseason. We said that's a bit of a statement trade that they're going, right, this is our push in a way. And you get an injury to Eckler. They've had multiple injuries to wide receivers. There was that mess with Terry McLaurin before the season even started. Their O-line's pretty old. Larry Tunsil. There's positives in terms of Jacory Krusky Merritt, Bob Jacory Merritt. Everyone keeps calling him, which is nicknamed. He's having an outstanding season coming in. I don't think anyone saw that really coming. But this roster, you can't hang your hat on a lot of these people in this offense for the long term.
Yeah, I think it was about the reason that they've brought these players in, like your Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, Von Miller. They've brought in. I think they felt that they wanted the experience there, and the idea was that obviously it was kind of let's go for it, wasn't it? You know, you've got your rookie quarterback on his rookie quarterback deal, and we can pay these guys and let's go for it. And unfortunately, because he's picked up a couple of injuries this season, that has kind of limited what they can do. I mean, the fact is like that they're just not they just are not the same without him when he's not playing. So it does really bring a sort of like a downward step for them. Look, I mean, when it comes to the future, yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of older guys on there. So but I think that's been done by design. I think the idea is let's go for it now, and we've almost got like a 2-3 year window before we have to pay him a small fortune, and then then at that point, I think you have to readjust the roster in general and sort of like rebuild and bring in younger guys. So yeah, I think that was kind of that was what the play was, wasn't it? I mean, we kind of felt like that was just the logical thing. I personally just feel like the defense. I'm not 100% sure where it's ranked at the moment, but I feel like the defense hasn't been shockingly bad.
I beg to differ because I have all the rankings. Just
see, what I've got them as 15th.
I've got them as 24th.
Okay.
What website are you using?
I'm on Fantasy Price at the moment.
Well, I use Pro Football Reference.
Okay.
I think for me that's my favorite and best
Probably
one.
better.
Well, yeah, you've actually led me very nice into the next question, which was you say about the money and where they can spend the money. They spent a lot of money on that defense. I know it's not crazy amounts, but brought in like Marshall Lattimore, Dan Quinn, meant to be his defensive genius, did pretty good with his defense in Dallas when he was a coordinator there, had a pretty decent defense in Atlanta when he was the head coach there. 24th ranked defense. They can't defend the pass. They're 29th in yards, 26th in passing touchdowns. They've only had 4 picks this year as well. They're 25th in rushing yards and they're 13th in rushing touchdowns. They're mid to lower end in terms of yards per game and average yards, etc. But we're talking and we're concentrating about this offense, about Jane Daniels being injured and the old age on the offense. The defense is a problem as well. And it's something I don't think we're talking about enough. You've just said, I thought they were pretty okay. Well,
it kind of felt like watching it feels like they've been all right.
They seem to not be able to catch a cold in winter when it goes into the secondary. Am I being unfair here? I mean, it's stats on paper. I always believe in the eye test as well.
I said it before Adam went in that I feel like the defense has just been okay. That's what I felt with it. I don't think they've been awful from the eye test, but okay is not good enough to get you in the playoffs, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's the shame is, and that's what we're going like. What does the future look like? Because when with Jane Daniels and how he was last year, you're like, oh, here we go. Like this Commanders now playoffs for the next 7-8 years, maybe. We've got Lamar Jackson on our hands here, and Jane Daniels. We've got the second coming. We've got potentially the team that is going to challenge the Eagles in a lot of people's minds before we saw how well the Cowboys offense is doing and before we saw the emergence of, how well Jackson Dart's playing, Cam Scatterbo as well. I know he's injured, but he was playing unreal before that, and also good defense with the Giants and the Eagles, who it is a good defense on paper. They're not playing to their maximum level. They've still got a way to go. I think in the Cowboys defense is blooming dreadful. So what, I mean, it can't just be a speed bump.
I feel like they've been unlucky with injuries. I know there's been a lot of injuries this year, but I just feel like it's when it's the quarterback, it really does kill it for this season. And like I say, I think it's been done by design to compete this year. But if you lose him, then you just end up just not going anywhere. I mean, I remember last year, as a Packers fan with Jordan Love, and he just picked up lots of little injuries all the way through the season. And it just completely derailed the whole season. He was never right throughout the whole season. And it feels like this is what's going to happen this year with Jaden Daniels. And I agree that when you look at these guys on the defense, on the offense, there's a lot of older names here. So in say like 2 or 3 years' time, there's going to have to be a big build regarding this roster, because they're just not going to be able to compete with these guys.
Adam, you say we've been unlucky there, but if
with
you're
injury,
but if you're going to go out and get older players, and you know that your quarterback is a rushing quarterback and has the potential to get injured, isn't it just bad planning not to have a plan B? If you're all in this year, which we've all just said, they're all in, they want to push forward, they want to do better than what they did last year, which was nearly reach the Super Bowl. Is that not just bad planning?
But plan B looks like Marcus Mariota. I
was going to say, who are you getting then?
But Mariota
to be your backup quarterback.
I mean, I just think they should have thought about it better. I understand that Mariota's like, he's not. They don't play the same style, do they? Like, that's not.
No, I agree with that. They're not exactly the same. But who do you go out?
But I don't just mean the quarterback. I mean across the board.
But I think that's where the big problem's been. The fact that he has been out injured. We see it all the time. I mean, with the quarterback play in this league, how much of the time do you see quarterbacks that are starting quarterbacks and they're not performing great?
What you're missing is the defense has been so poor that it's not even giving the backup a chance to succeed. Like you say about Jordan Love last year, niggling injuries. Yeah, absolutely. He didn't look really right after that. But you brought Malik Willis in and you had a great defense. You've got a great defense this year and you had a pretty decent defense at the end of last year and it kept you in games. So if this defense isn't keeping them in games, I mean, that's your plan B, isn't it? If plan C, I suppose. Plan C is Mariota doing well. Plan B is, well, we're going to build an absolute hard-hitting defense that allows us that if there is issues on our offense, it's going to keep us still in games.
Yeah, I get your point. I understand what you're saying with that, and that obviously does make sense. But I think the problem is like you can't have everything, and a lot of the defense they had last year ended up leaving because they were on one-year deals, weren't they? Because they didn't really know what they had with Jaden Daniels and weren't expecting to be as good as what they were. Then, of course, they've all done great. And it's like they all end up going for big money deals elsewhere. So it's really difficult to be able to keep a decent defense and do that. I mean, if that's, if you want to go down that route, then I suppose you've got to argue the coaching. Because if you're going to sort of like come out and say about Malik Willis at the Packers and stuff like that, a lot of people came out and said, well, that's Matt LaFleur doing really well as a head coach and being able to adjust and do that. Then rather than it being the roster, I think it might be more the coaching and maybe what you're seeing is not necessarily Dan Quinn, but I can't remember who the DC is there now. But, it's whoever's the sort of like the defensive play caller, I suppose. You could argue that there's issues there, and that's why that's happened.
If they don't make the play, do any of you think they'll make a push and get to the playoffs this year?
I mean, not when you've got
no.
Not when you've got the Eagles. Dallas could scrape in on their offense. You've got
Eagles are going to top that group, and then you'd argue that the majority of the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers will probably take up all the wild cards.
Lions, Packers, and then in the South you go just Bucks.
So
I think if everything goes amazing for them, I think they're looking at 9 and 8, which isn't enough.
Isn't enough.
No.
So they don't qualify this year. And they've missed it, which is a step back from last year. Do either of you see it improving next year? They've got a first and a third, haven't they? They haven't got a second round pick. But do either of you see it improving dramatically, or do you think they have missed the trick and they are going to slide behind Dallas and the Giants in their division? Because we think the Philly are going to just continue to be good, don't we? So
I don't think you can say they're going to slide that much just yet, because I think we need to see another year of Jackson Dart in the offense and what happens with that. It's looking positive, but there's limitations there, and we've got to see what he does next season and if he can step up and continue his play. We've got to see what Dallas do in the offseason with that defense, I think. And
they got 2 first-round picks and their offense looks great. So
exactly. So you can't. And then the Eagles are here to stay. We know the Eagles are here to stay. We can't discount that at all. So I don't think. I think the Commanders could go out in this offseason and have a really strong offseason in terms of getting a bit younger, getting some guys out of there, bringing some new guys in, making some astute moves. Really, it comes from organizational top to bottom of the astute moves they can make. But they won't be, they're not fools. They've seen Jackson Dart on telly for the Giants and seen the Giants defense, and they've seen how good the Cowboys offense is, and they know all about the Eagles. So they know that really this division, it's wide open in a way, actually, for any of these teams to really take it if they make the right moves and they put it all together. And it's just about really maybe keeping their fundamentals and believing in the coaches that they have, but reinforcing that to get a bit younger and to make some astute moves. That's the only way that I think they can still keep and compete in this division. That again, it sounds silly to say that now when we feel like the Eagles are going to run away with the division, but it is a very, very close division, really, in reality.
I think the Eagles win it again. Personally, I think they're I think they're miles ahead. And then next year, I think that all the teams will probably improve a little bit, and they'll all be roughly about the same. I think the next three are all pretty much similar. The Giants, I think, need to desperately go out and get a second wide receiver and get rid of some of these sort of like little slot guys that they have. They need to get, a different type of person. The Cowboys have got serious work to do on the defense. And the Commanders, okay, they are older, but I think most of them will still be there next year. So, and they'll still be reasonably okay. So
I just fear they'll turn into what we're seeing with the 49ers, but not as good.
Yeah, I mean that would not be shocking at all.
Old and expensive and brittle.
Yeah, it's very possible that that's what could happen with them. But I think they've done this on purpose because of the rookie deal that Jaden Daniels is on. So they've just gone for it, and unfortunately, the injury to him this year has kind of messed it up a bit.
Would either of you say it'd be sensible for them to draft another quarterback?
No.
Not to take his position, but
no, there's no point. You might as well come in and get yourself a. If you don't believe that Mariota's the guy, then you get a veteran who is similar.
They've got
maybe like you could, if you wanted to, you could go out and get, say, someone like Snoop Huntley.
Yeah, it fits the bill. That's what I don't understand why the Ravens haven't been playing.
Kyler Murray, maybe get Cliff and Kyler back together. Kyler backs up.
That would be quite fun.
I don't think that's that ridiculous, personally. I actually don't think that's that ridiculous.
I think he'll get a starting job somewhere.
Well, we shall just have to wait and see. On to the next topic. Again, try not to keep too negative, but it is talking about a team that is very, very flawed and definitely needs some, I think, top to bottom changes, and that is the Atlanta Falcons losing to the Miami Dolphins 34-10. Pretty hilarious in itself. That is 3rd and 4, third in the NFC South, and it's a little bit of present day Falcons to past Falcons, I think, in a way. This one, because I was looking at it, and the last one their division in 2016, which was 9 years ago, which God makes us all feel pretty old, to be honest with you, and that was the last time they were in the playoffs as well. They've had 3 head coaches since then. Raheem Morris, he also then came in, I believe. He was in between as well. I think he covered Dan Quinn for a moment, and then Arthur Smith as well. And all 3 have not. Dan Quinn took them to the Super Bowl, the infamous New England Patriots Super Bowl, as we all know, and we all see in history books. But really, for 9 years, this has been pretty poor by an organization. And I think they get away with it quite a lot. I mean, I went back and looked at their drafts as well. I've got all their drafts from 2019. I've got. And it makes for some terrible reading. And it's not just, like I said, we're not even just talking about now. Like, for the minute, this loss to the Dolphins, I mean, solidifies that this team is just not very good, and they just don't seem to know how to get it right at all. And I mean, Andrew, I can open the floor with you on this one, I suppose. I mean, are they not talked about enough in terms of like just a pretty bad organization, really?
Well, I think there's been a lot of hype and expectation for them for last year and coming into this year, especially. And I know you're sitting there saying they're just a bad team, they're awful, they're terrible. That's not it for me. I find them really confusing because they play games and then beat the Bills 24-14 and look like, hang on, you beat Washington, you beat Buffalo, you beat Minnesota. I'm thinking, is this a team that can actually, push for the playoffs and make a bit of noise in the playoffs? And then they lose to San Francisco and then get hammered by Miami. And I'm like, wait, this isn't the same team. I understand Penix was out and London was out, but I'm just not seeing the same team week to week. And I'm really confused by them. And it's the second year again where I think by the end of the year, we're going to go, oh, there's some really nice things to take away. And there's some really good hype. And next year will be the year. And I just feel like I'm stuck in a situation where, is it going to be that every year where I'm just going, yeah, maybe it is. They've got, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Penix looks good. Defense has improved dramatically this year. Oh, maybe. I'm confused by them. That's why I wanted to open this up. I wanted to talk about the Falcons this week because I'm really confused with whether they are good or whether they are bad.
Well, more to add to that. I mean, 30th best offense in the minute, 31st in passing touchdowns, but 10th best defense. They've actually, my biggest criticism always has been that you look at the names: Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. I mean, even some of their secondary guys are pretty decent. It's exciting big name offense, but their defense really doesn't have any big names apart from AJ Terrell, admittedly, and your man in the middle, defensive tackle, who's a bit older. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's just completely escaped me. That's been always the thing, but I've been like, right, you need to improve it, you need to put effort in there. And they have done. They've invested in it, but I think they've invested in the wrong people, personally. And you're right. When you look at the stats there, it's confusing. Like, how have you suddenly got high-powered offense that seemingly most years can't stay healthy either? That is a big problem as well. They don't seem to be able to stay healthy. And this defense was not very good. And then this year, their defense seems to be pretty okay. But then the offense has been really bad. And again, we talk about the names there, but I've just said, Adam, like, how? How are they so unconvincing in one game and then terribly convincing in the next?
I don't know, really. They just are. It's just what they do.
Great analytical word.
No, I have very little to say regarding the Falcons. They are just one of these teams, aren't they, that are always stuck in the middle. They're stuck in the middle of drafts. They never really sort of go out and make a massive splash. They're just
but that's not
one
true.
of these teams that just sort of
drafts are splashy. Look at
they moved back up into the first to get 2 edge rushers this year, didn't they?
But that's just a stupid thing to do, isn't it? I mean, this is what I suppose. This is probably where it boils down. Then, if you think about it, and where I think you were alluding to, Fred, it's like the draft picks are maybe not necessarily what they need. Sometimes it does feel a little bit like there's a lack of any sort of depth to their draft. It's like it's very much they normally have a good first round pick, and then the rest of it's all a bit like, who the hell's that player? Who's that player? Who's that player? It's like when you look at the first rounds, you do get an AJ Terrell and a Kyle Pitts and a Drake London.
But Kyle Pitts has been a terrible miss.
Yeah, he hasn't been great, sort of thing.
He's been awful. For the hype, this is not his fault at all, but for the hype he had, he's been awful. He's not been good at all. And I mean, you look at, I mean, I don't know the trades and stuff like that, but they pick at 15 and I know they trade up to get the 26th pick. They picked at 8 when they got Penix. They picked at 8 when they got Bijan Robinson. They picked at 8 when they got Drake London. They picked at 4 when they got Carl Pitts. They picked at 16 when they got AJ Terrell. Like, people say my Steelers are predictable.
Do you not think? I'm just sort of thinking they had Matt Ryan for a long time, didn't they? And it kind of felt like when they lost that Super Bowl against the Patriots, it did seem to take a long time for the Falcons to really sort of get over that. And he never kind of, like, he was then into the back end of his career, and you could tell that the sort of like the play sort of fell away a little bit. And it's kind of felt like they've really struggled to find a quarterback since then. And it's almost like they've been desperate to try and find one. And obviously they went for Michael Penix in 24. And in fairness, I think
shocked the world. Shocked.
Yeah. In fairness, I think he's got a good chance of actually being decent in the NFL. But yeah, it just kind of feels a little bit like the quarterback play hasn't been good for a very long time in with the Falcons. They kind of remind me a bit like the Colts. See, do you know what I mean? It's another team.
Well, they're just one quarterback away every year, haven't they?
Yeah, but I think it just kind of feels like they're another team where they've got players, they've got decent weapons, they've got decent players on the defense. Not like amazing, but they do have players, and yet they just haven't been able to find the quarterback since peak Matt Ryan, and that kind of feels a bit like that's where they've been going wrong.
Do we think they got the Raheem Morris hire correct? He came in, he hired the biggest coaching staff you could think of, and when he was interviewed, they asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, well, we're going to win. We're going to be great. We're going to win. People are going to take all my coordinators, and I've got coaching staff in the waiting to come through." Now, I know we've said we like Zach Robinson as offensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbricht, defensive coordinator. It's a good coaching staff, but did they miss on Raheem Morris, who you've had the Kirk Cousins saga with Penix, and I do feel like at times this team looks like it could be really, really good. So is that where they've missed?
I think part of it goes back to what is a massive thing on this podcast, is that a defensive-minded head coach can't develop a young rookie quarterback. And I agree. And it's your two's argument. You're the two that have pounded the table for this for the longest time, and I buy into that completely. I completely buy into that. I think
Raheem Morris has done both, hasn't he? He's a both, isn't he? He's been a wide receiver coach, hasn't he? And hasn't he done passing game? He's done both, hasn't he? He's done.
Well, again, master of many. Was it the master of many, trade of none sort of thing, whatever it is.
Everything. Oh yeah, no. For the Falcons in 2016-19, he was assistant head coach, wide receivers coach.
Wide receiver coach, though. Can we just
and offensive pass game coordinator.
Yeah, I knew he'd come from both. Bit of an anomaly, but
he did get to work with Matt Ryan, who was considered pretty elite in his day.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan was considered one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league at one given point.
He was head coach for the Bucs, obviously back in 2009 to 2011. It didn't really work very well.
He was too young, wasn't he? He had a bit attitude problems, didn't he?
Yeah, so there is that. I will, as Fred said, I've been banging on about it for years. I hate the idea of a defensive coach being there. And the first thing you do is you bring in a rookie quarterback, and you just go, well, that's not going to work, because you lose your OC. They did, didn't they? Who was their OC in 2024? I can't remember. It wasn't Robinson, was it?
Testing the knowledge now.
I can't remember. But anyway, it's it's that thing where it's like I feel it doesn't work. I've never felt it works. As soon as you get a good OC, you end up losing them, and it's a nightmare to try and replace them. And at the beginning of the season, we did come out and say, didn't we? Like, well, not at the beginning of the season, but when we were talking about who was on the hot seat and stuff like that, and it was a little bit like, well, if the Falcons don't sort themselves out, then Morris is going to be someone who could potentially be on the hot seat. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about the Falcons. They try all this stuff, but there's just nothing exciting about them. Sorry, Falcons fans.
I mean, I think. Could you lay blame a little bit at their GM as well? I just had his name a second ago. Terry Fontenot. He's been there since 2021, and again, you look at that. Like I said, talking about their draft. I mean, there's a lot of misses. Like, there's not misses and there is misses all at the same time, I suppose. Yeah, Carl Pitts miss. Richie Grant, all right. Jalen Mayfield miss. I mean, Drake London, fantastic. Arnold Ebiketie, never been really dominant. Troy Anderson's been okay. Desmond Ridder, no. Tyler Algier was a great pick in the 5th round. Bijan Robinson, obviously incredible. Matthew Bergeron, all right. Clark Phillips, all right. Michael Penix, I still think we don't really know just yet what we are going to get from him. He's an older rookie as well, isn't he?
I'm not going to let you stop there. You say the name of the guy who was the 2nd round pick in 2024. Come on.
Ruka.
Yeah, he's brilliant, Ruka.
Yeah, we had to cover that on the draft show.
I just think that for someone who supports an organization where I'm desperate for a shake-up, gosh, the Falcons must be ready for a shake-up as well.
But I don't know what you do. They're a weird team. They're an odd team that's stuck in the middle.
But it has the potential to really make some noise, I reckon. I think it has.
But every team in the middle has potential to make noise, doesn't it? And they never do. They're just one of them where they're just, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not very good on this topic. I just don't have a lot to say about them. They're kind of they're just meh.
Do you think they've got any chance of getting in the playoffs?
No.
How many more wins can they get? What are they currently?
I mean, they're at the Patriots. They're at the Colts. They've had their early bye week 5.
What are they? What's their record?
Their record at the minute is 3-4, and they're at the Patriots, at the Colts, hosting the Panthers, at the Saints, at the Jets, hosting the Seahawks, at the Buccaneers, at the Cardinals, hosting the Rams, hosting the Saints.
They can get to 9 at the most.
You're that confident they get to 9?
I think they can beat Carolina, New Orleans, New York.
I've got 8 and 9.
Arizona, and the Saints again. That's 5. They've already got 3 wins. That's 8. And that just depends whether they can catch a win against, maybe at Tampa later on or Seattle later on, maybe. That's what I mean. You don't know what you're going to get with this. They went out and destroyed Buffalo convincingly. And it was a Buffalo team that, had some issues on defense, but it didn't have players out on the offense, and we thought they'd go out and beat everyone. So I can't write them off in some of those bigger games either against the Seattle and Tampa. Maybe
they're not going to lose twice the Saints. It's Tyler Shook season, baby.
They're 8 and 9, 9 and 8, stuck in the middle, doing nothing. That could be a little banner for them. There you go.
Here I am stuck in the middle with you. That's what they should come out
with Michael Penix, but yeah.
Well, I'm definitely in for Tyler Shook season with the Saints. That's the games I'm going to keep an eye on. I've got him in fantasy, and he's going to do well. I know he is. I believe in him. Final topic for us this evening, and go on, let's talk about my Pittsburgh Steelers then. The stagnant Steelers, very stagnant. Losing 35-25 against the Green Bay Packers. Adam did stay up to watch this game. I did not, as I infamously don't stay up for late games.
I also stayed up.
Did you also stay up?
Yeah, I was talking to Adam during the game.
Did you? Well, I mean, it's a little bit like the Falcons as well. But I mean, I think, Steelers are still more in the driving seat for topping the division, for having maybe a good playoff run. But it's now about what decisions are they going to make now and what adjustments they're going to make now. Now, I did say just moments ago that we're infamously bad at making adjustments. But if anything goes by the offseason that the Steelers just had, where they did make moves and they did strengthen and they were very different to how our usual offseason is, it could be that nearer the trade deadline we get to, the more likely it looks to maybe get in that playoff spot, but they may have to make some adjustments and make some moves. And Adam, like I said, infamously not a team that does adjust, but the division is in sight for the Steelers at the minute. There's lots of rumors swirling around that we're looking at a wide receiver. I don't necessarily, I think we could, but I don't think we have to. I'm looking more.
You definitely need to. That's ridiculous, Fred.
I don't think we need to.
You've got DK Metcalf and some tight ends. And that is it. You need another wide receiver. If you're all in, you have to get another wide receiver.
Calvin Austin's not bad for me. I like Calvin Austin.
He's not good enough, Fred.
I admit Roman Wilson's a complete miss. That is a huge. I just talked about massive misses by the Atlanta Falcons. God, that is a huge.
You're great at missing. But Steelers are great at missing. Look at how well Caleb Johnson's doing as well.
Well, yeah, that's even more terrible. I mean, so. Do you both think wide receivers the way we've got to go? Because I just look at their secondary and I just think like it's ridiculous. I just every week I watch the middle of the field and the linebacker, that sort of middle section between the linebacker and the safeties and the corners. It is just where we get beat every single time. And the Packers did that fantastically against us to smash us in the fourth quarter. And I've seen it in multiple games. And I just think that I don't want to go defense because we're the highest paid defense. We need to be performing better. We're terrible at the minute. And I don't know. I think we need to look at the running. I think we need to adjust to running the ball a little bit more as well, because we're low in the usage of our running game in the league. And we're much more of a passing offense than we are a throwing than a running offense at the minute. I think it needs to be a bit more equal.
I love this. This is great. You got Aaron Rodgers. You can chuck your run game in the bin, mate. It ain't happening. You've got Aaron Rodgers.
Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy was incredible.
Yeah, that was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember the running back you had after that, to be honest with you. I know you had AJ.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, yeah, it was a good run game. Who did most of his work in the passing game. It's done. Your running game is done. This is brilliant. You're going through a transitional phase, Fred, where you have to understand that you've taken on Rodgers and you're just not going to have this strong defense, and you're not going to have you just got to deal with the guy chucking it everywhere. That's how it works. I've only done it for 18 seasons. I've had him for.
How have we not got a strong defense? Like how?
Yeah, your defense is letting the team down. That's where you're
hugely.
Yeah,
hugely.
It's had one good game, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think the defense is. Again, we were talking about the Commanders and speaking about how they've brought in players that are getting older, and it kind of feels like you've done the same a little bit. Darius Slay. Why did the Eagles get rid? Jalen Ramsey, older. Patrick Queen is getting a bit older now.
But I did feel like this is a definite all in for the Steelers this year. There wasn't it like.
And I'm okay.
But I don't think it is 1 year anymore, because I think Rodgers will be back next year.
Oh, yeah.
Well, even if he is back next year, if they don't do something this year, you're just going to be 8 and 9 or 9 wins. Next year.
9 and 8. We can't go 8 and 9.
I just don't see that for us. I don't think we're going to go 9-8. I think we're going to have a better record than that at the minute. But only just. And yeah, it'd be great to go and get another wide receiver. I mean, it would be a coup. I just don't think we're incredibly desperate for it. I think what we need to adjust is our game plan rather than our player and personnel. That is more my belief. And is that silly to think that?
No, I don't. I think the defense definitely there needs to be a slight change in what's going on. I think that it's clearly struggling, and there needs to be maybe a different way of thinking about it. I personally, I think the offense is doing fine. I don't have much of an issue with the offense. I kind of agree with Andrew that I think having a bit more depth at wide receiver would not be the worst thing in the world. I mean, the one thing I would say is you can go out and trade for more than one player. You know, that is allowed. So the idea of the problem is like when you look at wide receiver, you've got Metcalf, okay, great. But then you got Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Ben Skowronek, Scotty Miller. That's about it. I mean, there's not a lot there.
None of those people that you named are wide receiver twos in my eyes.
No, it does feel like a wide receiver wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I do also agree that you do have issues in the back. There's a couple of guys I saw today. You've got a couple of corners, haven't you? I can't remember who it was, but someone tweeted it out that no, a couple of corners that you're sort of like just seeing whether or not they're good enough to come in or not.
I mean, yeah.
So they obviously understand that that's a position that needs some work doing to it. And I felt, I know that they didn't get any sacks against Jordan Love, but I felt like the front guys did reasonably all right and look like they've been all right during the season. The problem is the secondary, which, to be honest, is something we've been saying for years.
For stats wise, I mean, we're 6th in quarterback knockdowns, 8th in sacks, and 6th in quarterback pressure. So we're getting to the QB.
Yeah, exactly.
We're 29th in pass yards, 20th in passing touchdowns, 5th in 5 interceptions. Yeah, it's not great. You know, when we made that trade for Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter and bringing Darius Slayton, like that 3 on paper's a pretty darn good trio. Get rid of Minka Fitzpatrick. I was totally okay with that. I'm still absolutely fine with that trade. Absolutely fine with it. Deshaun Elliott's pretty decent, but we need a little bit more. It's the linebacking as well. It's just not been great. And I think from this game, people think we're quite far away when I don't think we're that far away at all, really.
Like, far away from what?
From making a good playoff run.
I think you're 1 and
done. Winning the division.
I think you, on paper, the way you're playing, you look like qualify for the playoffs, 1 and done. Classic Steelers.
But I think if you win the division and 1 and done, I do still think that's a positive, though.
You think that's a win? You think that living in a world where you're just 1 and done every year is?
No, I don't think 1 and done.
Do you, Fred, as a fan,
winning the division would be something more than what we've done? Say again.
As a fan, do you want more from your team than 9 wins, qualifying for the playoffs, 1 and done every year?
But I think I think we're a team that can be 10, 11 wins at the minute.
And then 1 and done in the playoffs.
Again, I'm not happy about the 1 and done in the playoffs, but it is the playoffs and anything can happen still. I think if we beat the Bengals of week and we lose this game.
Would you be unhappy if your team went down the Rams winning Super Bowl philosophy of just stuff the picks, let's go out and buy as many players we can to win this now?
I would. Yeah. If it meant we won the Super Bowl, then yeah, of course. Because in a way, I'd be like, well, at least I've seen the Steelers win the Super Bowl once.
You're not great with your picks anyway, as we've just established.
No.
Your defense
that's not entirely true, but
yeah, your defense has got some good youngsters on it as well. Like it has.
Yeah.
I think you should go all in and go out and see if you can go better than 1 and done.
So who we're going to go out and get? Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, a corner, like you said. Like who are we going? AJ Brown.
If you could get AJ Brown, that would be brilliant. I think Eagles need to let him go. Look how much better they were without him. Their offense looked good, back to its old self without him. They don't need him. But yeah, you could go. I think you could get Olave cheaper, and then get cornerbacks. And if you want to get another running back, go and get another running back. Whatever. I think you could pick up some really, really good pieces cheaper. You need a secondary piece, a wide receiver piece, definitely. I think you could go out and buy them and not give up what you're going to give up if you took AJ Brown. So I think that would be a sensible move, and then see what's available at the catching running back position. See if there's a higher end. Would the Eagles give up Aaron Jones?
You mean the Vikings?
Sorry, where did I get the Eagles from? The Vikings. Would they give him up?
He's just come back from injury. Is my only issue with that.
I think
they seem to have a good thing going with Jordan Mason, though.
Trying to think of who would be good. I think Olave. You could go Olave, Pollard.
Who's the one?
I can't think of any corners.
Douglas.
Rasul Douglas.
Yeah. Santi Samuel.
I mean, annoyingly, Roger McCreary going to the Rams would have been a nice one, really. But then, is it safety and is it linebacker you look at?
I think you're fine at linebacker. You've got some good pieces there. I don't
Screw it. We go get Bobby Wagner in for a year. You need a guy who knows to win a Super Bowl. Get Bobby Wagner in. Get his old ass in there. Wouldn't it be mental if Brandon Graham got traded to us, signs back for the Eagles, and then gets traded?
It's funny because obviously everything you've done from the off season kind of felt very all in. So it kind of feels like you have to keep going now, but you haven't yet.
If you're going to push the envelope, you might as well post it. There's no point just,
That's definitely one way of looking at it.
I'm happy. I'm happy with how this year's going, and I wouldn't hate us keeping Aaron for another year. I wouldn't hate that. Obviously, I'd be majorly annoyed if we got one and done. But the minute for me, it's about winning the division, and I think the division's there for the taking with the team we have. Yes, any additions that we got to the team, I would be all in favour for. I don't think we're as desperate as everyone thinks we are for them.
Adam, you've heard it here first. The fans are happy with a winning record.
Every one of them.
And that's
I have to say, now, that I don't want to go in on the Steeler fans, but they disappeared quick from the stadium on Sunday night, and I was quite surprised that it was very empty.
I noticed that as well watching the highlights.
Yeah, which was surprising, and I don't know. I feel like
I can't speak for the fan base in Pittsburgh though. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone from Pittsburgh who's a Pittsburgh, who's the Steeler.
Do you think they're? Do you think maybe that a lot of Pittsburgh fans are? It's that thing, isn't it, where it's almost like be careful what you wish for. But do you think there is an element of wanting a bit of refresh?
Yeah, hugely, and I would have done that 2 years ago. But we're where we are. I mean, the one thing that I've contemplated is obviously Tomlin going, but I just didn't know who would replace him. And then I spoke to, I think I said it on here, but I spoke to a lad in Dublin who's an American Steelers fan, and he said I think Martin Freeman, the college coach, he's at Penn State, right? Notre Dame, sorry, but he would be what I would see as the heir apparent. And I was like, I could see that. Like, I don't know college ball that well, but I know what a force Notre Dame have been in the last few seasons. And I could see that sort of transition and that happen. And I think I'd be okay with that. I mean, I've not been silent about my disgruntlement with our organization. And part of why it was a fun offseason, why I was a lot more happy this offseason, is it felt like we took the bull by the horns and said, no, we're going to do something that pushes us over the line. And I think doing trading a pick away to get a premium player in would be us, really making a statement that this is our season. My problem is you do give up your future for that, but if we won a Super Bowl from it, I just don't think you can be. I don't think any Rams fans are turning around now and going, I'm upset about us winning the Super Bowl in that way. And then we had like 3 years off, and now we look just as good as we did because
they never turned bad, did they? The Rams.
Well, they revitalized.
Their down season wasn't a 3-win season, was it?
Exactly. They turned around their older players for picks. They got the right guys out at the right time. They brought some players in who are older. They made some.
McVay finds value in the draft at offensive positions, though, doesn't he?
And I think you're unfair about. I know Caleb Johnson's been a whiff, and I know Rowan Wilson's been a whiff, but I think you're unfair about our drafting history completely with that. But
I just on the offense, you've never got your O-line right. You're struggling at wide receiver, and you've let Nagy go, and you've brought in Caleb Johnson. So
we're struggling for wide receiver now. We weren't. We had a pretty good run going with wide receivers, if you remember, with Antonio Brown, then Juju, then George Pickens.
Yes, you did.
Very good run. I'm not comparing Calvin Austin to Juju or Juju in that time frame anyway, or George Pickens, because he's nowhere near the player, but I still think he's pretty decent. We just decided rather than trying to dig through the draft to find a wide receiver that could be George Pickens. And also the George Pickens bit thing, people are going about, you should in Dallas now, look at him. Boy, you keep enjoying it in Dallas, but them wheels will fall off. I guarantee he is primed for a mess up. Primed.
Just bear in mind, he's in a contract year as well, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, they'll sign him to a multi-year contract, and they'll get exactly what we got, which was not great on a lot of occasions, and it's a different scenario over in Dallas. So I'm not regretful of moving him away at all. Absolutely not at all. But one can hope. Maybe moves before the trade deadline. Let's just wait and see. No one and dones. No more one and dones. Andrew, Adam, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Thank you guys for listening or watching wherever you are, whether it be on YouTube or any podcast platform. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us all on social media. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And until then, we'll see you again very soon.